Meeting of the General Forum for October 28, 2024 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Scott, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Balachandran.
Here.
Mr. Hayes. Mr. Herndon.
Present.
Mr. Kassab.
Here.
Ms. Kristen Cootie.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Present.
Mr. Portney.
Here.
Mr. Bernier.
Here.
Mr. Best.
Here.
Mr. Frank.
Here.
Ms. Mariner. Mr. Trainer.
Here.
Mr. Heller.
Here.
Mr. Patterson. Ms. Stevens.
Here.
Ms. Strickland.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Beck. Ms. Hartle.
Here.
Ms. Perkins.
She's
Here.
Mr. Piper. Mr. Cervello.
here.
Mr. Hammeister.
Here.
Mr. Hardin.
Here.
Mr. Lord.
Here.
Ms. Moriarty.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Abrams.
He's there.
Coming around the corner.
He's there.
There.
He's coming around the curve.
Ms. Hycheski.
Here.
Mr. Magruder.
Here.
Ms. Robb.
Here.
And Ms. Witness.
We are good to go? Okay, next on the agenda are public comments. Are there any public comments? Hearing or seeing none?
If I could just want to take a moment to introduce Sam Bryson Brockman, who joined us last week as our new facilities administrator. Sam has joined us online this evening. Sam, do you want to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be part of the COG and joining this team. And I'm excited to be part of my first General Forum meeting. So thank you for welcoming me, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. New agenda items. Are there any new agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda, which consists of CA1, approval of minutes, CA2, general forum receipt of the 2023 audits, CA3, the COG Solar Power Purchasing Agreement Working Group appointment. Are there any of these that anyone wants taken off of the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda? Okay.
Small note, Lamari Patterson is on the meeting. Over.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the motion that the general forum approve items CA1 to CA3 is listed on the October 28, 2024 general forum consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda is municipal comments on the 2025 COG summary budget presented by Mr. Frank.
Yes, good evening all. All of you better have seen the COG summary budget come through your individual municipalities, and all of you have offered comments back through. Staff has now had the opportunity to go through those and offer their responses towards those. The Finance Committee reviewed the comments that we had at our last meeting, which was last week on the 24th. We did not identify any showstopper items on those comments, but that's why we're here. So if there's additional comments, I believe the intent is to move towards an approval such that it can go to the municipalities for their individual approvals. And at this point, I would turn it over to staff if they have any additional comments.
I think we would just like to thank everybody for all of your time and effort on this. This is an extremely long, difficult process, and we appreciate how much everybody put into it. And with your patience as we work through transition to the interim manager and then to me during this process, and your kindness throughout as we managed through that process. We appreciated all of your comments. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to grab one of the sheets that is available or saw them as they were emailed out with the collection of comments and the responses from the staff for those. And if you have any further questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve this agenda item, and please read the motion in the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that the general forum as recommended by the Executive and Finance Committees recommends that the general forum approve the 2025 COG summary budget and that the general forum refer the 2025 budget to the participating municipalities for adoptions no later than December 31st, 2024.
Second.
You have a second from Betsy? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'll follow up to that.
Okay.
One of the other items that the Finance Committee completed at its meeting on the 24th was to push forward some recommendations to the Executive Committee and the Executive Director for potential action by those elements as part of in preparation for the 2026 budget. So the Executive Committee should be seeing those, and the Executive Director is already moving forward on several of those.
Okay.
Those are items that we felt would benefit the process, but we are not in the position to tell other committees what they should be doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the revised model municipal solid waste ordinance presented by Shelley Motto.
The ordinance in front of you, I just want to say a few words about it. The process we used to revise the model ordinance was to put together a working group that consisted of municipal managers, zoning officers, members of staff, and members of the Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority staff. We revised the ordinance in order to bring it in line with the new collection method for the 2025 to 2030 contract, and also took the opportunity to strengthen some parts of the ordinance that we found more difficult to enforce or a little confusing or that were vague. And at this point, the ordinance then goes, if the general forum approves it, is sent to the municipalities, and they follow their own adoption process to do that, and can make revisions to that ordinance as they see fit. I will be on hand for those discussions with each municipality. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Shelley. I'll entertain a motion to approve this, and would you please read the motion?
This is Matt. I move that the general forum, as recommended by the Executive Committee and the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee, receive the revised model solid waste ordinance and refer to the municipalities for adoption by March 30th, 2025.
Motion to
Second.
Sultan? Okay. Okay, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion? If not, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. We don't participate, so. Okay, next on the agenda is the Energy Procurement Agreement, presented by Pam Adams. There she is.
Hello, I'm here tonight to talk to you about the energy contract, our traditional energy contract that we've been doing through a time period set with different generators for over a decade. So basically, the way the process works is we have a broker, they give us some pricing, and repeatedly we always are selecting the low price. Since the resolution in 2021 on reducing our emissions, we've been purchasing RECs. So part of the discussion when the interim director was here, Adam Brumball, he wondered if this was really something that had to go all the way through the general forum. We've looked at our purchasing policy and in discussions with the finance committee and the executive committee, it was chose the elected officials looked and thought that item number 3, with letting the executive director make the operational decision for traditional electricity contracts, is what they want to do. There is some data provided, just to provide a reference. Our current contract is 6.6 cents, and electricity prices have gone up recently. Now, the 2 prices listed here are for an 18-month time period. We did get pricing on Friday, and it's come down. It's now for 18 months 9.39. And one of the things we're going to consider is looking at the 12-month, which is 8.79. So that's something that the executive director, we can talk about, but our consultants and brokers are kind of thinking like prices will stabilize a little bit with this capacity auction that happened at the PJM. Prices did increase, so it might be in our best interest to do 12 months. But what the point of this is that the executive director can make those decisions. We work with brokers who know a little bit about the electricity market, and so that is why that motion there is recommended, that for the executive director to make the future decisions on traditional electricity contracts. This is not related to the PPA.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Please read the motion. Would you like to read the motion, Danny?
I mean, yeah.
Would you like to read the motion?
No, I made a motion, yeah.
What's the motion?
Is that what you asked for?
I asked you to read the
Got it.
motion. I'll read the motion. That the general forum is recommended by the Executive and Finance Committees, authorize the COG Executive Director to enter into traditional electricity contracts as part of the operational management and continue to purchase renewable energy credits and follow all other general forum approved policies unless the general forum directs otherwise or there is a significant budget increase due to the cost of the REC price. So we have a motion. Do I hear a second? Evans seconds. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call the, I'm sorry, do you have it? Okay, go ahead.
With respect to the cost effective, I know that energy prices went up substantially, but is this just for generation costs? Is there any transition costs within that 9 cent or 8 cent that you were talking about, Pam?
It's just generation.
Okay. Do we have any information about what this new provider was going to charge us for transmission or anything else?
So that, yeah, transmission's set by West Penn Power, so it's set by the PUC. West Penn Power does that, and that is something that we don't have any, we can't contract out. It's set that West Penn Power provides that, and they control it through the PUC.
It's an additional cost.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
when you see the price to compare, that's generation.
Right.
So that's what everybody
I
compares.
just wanted to confirm that it wasn't built in already. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll call the question. All those,
I think I
I'm
do.
sorry?
So this is,
Amari?
or maybe I'm going to the power grid a little bit, but that 8 is not all in. And Kim, that the numbers from the other contract with solar are all in and we've been presenting?
No, the price to compare is what we've always been trying to do, apples to apples, price to compare. Currently, the contract for electricity contract that COG will likely send or sign. The way this process works is you are able to lock in rates with this electricity contract for like 24 hours. So if the general forum passes this motion, tomorrow we'll ask the brokers for some rates. Then we'll make the selection on which one is the lowest cost and then sign it, but you have to do it within 24 hours. So that rate is likely to be around 8.7 to 9 cents is what it looks like it will be. And then there's, the PPA is a separate item, but we are doing compare apples to apples. When you look on your utility bill, there will be a price to compare number. That's this number that we're talking about, generation, because that's something that we are allowed to choose from. The distribution costs set by the PUC and West Penn Power, we don't have the right to choose who transmits.
Copy that. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments?
If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next on the agenda is University Report. Joel M. Morales, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologize for not being there in person this evening. I do not have a report for this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there's any out there.
Any questions for Julian? Thank you, Julian.
All right, thank you so much.
Is there a State College Area School District report? I don't see anybody here.
Yeah, did we get a backup?
Yeah, I was asking that last meeting if we could get a written report because we haven't gotten one all year, so.
That was requested.
Okay.
Within the week of that request. There was a clarifying question asked in return. If they were attending in person, would they still need to report in writing? We said no. If you attend in person, there's no need for anything in writing. Scott was kind enough to send a reminder last week asking if there would be a written report. We have not received a response.
So that's a State College Area School District report.
Correct.
Okay. All right, next up is the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, everybody. What I would like to focus on, same as I've kind of been covering it in a few other committees in the last 2 weeks, is a status report on Whitehall, where we have made some progress, but I also want to be clear that we do not have a date. This is not a finished process for this. I've been working with our engineering firm and with the Ferguson staff. Ferguson was great at letting me know exactly what it is that they need from us to finish this process out. And then I was able to get in contact with the engineers to find out the status of those items. Unfortunately, there were mistakes made along the way, and I can't go back and determine, at least at this point, on which side all of these mistakes were made. However, what I do know at this point is that to complete the stormwater assessment, ground penetration testing was necessary, and that was something that was apparently turned down earlier on in the process. So I have requested that the engineers send us a proposal for that and make arrangements to have that done as soon as possible. They have the construction photos that were necessary and are finishing up the calculation report, which those three things combined would finish up the stormwater as-built portion of the process. From there, we just have to complete the land development process and the minor alteration plan, where there were a few changes that need to be noted on the existing plans. There were, I believe, about a dozen trees that have died since they were planted. Those are all under warranty, and arrangements are already being made for their replacement. However, that is something that we still need to note on the plan, that will be worked on, as well as the pavilion, which is in the budget to be finished up next year. I believe almost everything else has been taken care of. So as we work through this process, we will continue to give updates and try to be as upfront as possible about exactly where we stand with this project, and communicate that to the public as well so that they know. The authority chose earlier this month, they thought it would be best if we do a soft opening, essentially, as soon as we have our occupancy permit to make it available to the public, and then we will wait until the spring when the weather is nicer to do an actual grand opening event for the park. But we want to make sure that people can get in as soon as possible. Okay. Any questions I can answer for anybody on this? Yes.
So, the ground penetration testing. So the engineering firm
they should know that that's required, right? How did they accept a no on that? You don't know?
I can't find documentation of this yet. They say that it was in their original proposal and that it was turned down by somebody on the COG side of things, that they did not want the penetration testing, or they at least did not want them to do it. But we don't have that, therefore we don't have everything that we need to turn in to Ferguson on the stormwater side.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Agency director reports. I see one for SCLO Library. Lisa, you're up.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I have to start with product placement. So you'll notice that this is from the back of the Fall Fund Drive, which hit mailboxes in the last couple of weeks. I want to just point out on that Fall Fund Drive, your donations open the door to adventure. Brick by brick, you build our library. Together, great things are possible. That's absolutely true. I would encourage all of you to look for that in your mailbox and to support the library in any way that you can. So I'll keep that product placement up throughout this presentation. When I first started working in public libraries, one of the things that nobody really told me about was that parking was going to be a huge part of what I would need to do, both as a library staff member, but also as a library director. So we know from all the survey data that we've done at SCLO Library, talking to people over the last 15 years, that parking, easy to use parking, is really very important to all of our patrons and to our community. Our new system was installed in July, and on the 24th it was up and running, and I'm really excited to kind of give you some information on how we're doing. So from July 23rd through October 16th, our lot at SCLO Library has seen 14,969 vehicles. That's a tiny little parking lot that turns over tremendously. In the past 7 days, we've seen 1,344 vehicles. And we've brought in over $5,500 in after-hours parking revenue, the majority of which will go into a designated fund to help pay for the next parking system. So we're very, very pleased with how everything's going. Now, we're continuing to tweak our in-library parking validation system. That's based on patron feedback to make it a little bit bigger, the text, to make it a little easier to use, little things like that. But overall, things are going really wonderfully. And for us at SCLO, parking is just, it's not an afterthought, but it really is an essential part of our customer service model and what we try to provide to everyone. And so for that reason, we were given the opportunity to work with CNET on a public service announcement that you may be seeing on TV, starring yours truly, because of course, you know, I'm absolutely willing to at any point, you know, promote the library. So if we can, I wanted to see if we could run that for you guys tonight so you could have a chance to see it, see how the system works, and appreciate the opportunity we have for our community to utilize the library parking, come in the library easily, and to make sure that access is barrier-free for everyone. So here we go. We'll see how it goes. And this is available on our website as well as on YouTube.
Downtown State College. The parking in our popular location is at a premium. To maximize easy, free parking for library patrons, SCLO Library has installed a new parking system. 4 easy steps will provide library patrons with a low-stress parking experience. 1. Enter the SCLO Library parking lot and take a ticket. Bring your ticket into the library with you as you will need to validate it a few minutes before you leave. 2. Spend as much time in the library as you would like. When you are ready to leave, remember that your vehicle must leave with you. 3. A few minutes before leaving the building, validate your parking ticket. There is one validation station located in the lobby. Scan the QR code, Listen for one beep, remove the ticket, and wait for the thank you screen. Once a parking ticket is validated, it must be used to leave the parking lot within 20 minutes. 4. Scan your validated ticket at the parking lot exit. We hope you enjoyed your visit to the library, and we'll see you again soon. We're all in this together, so never panic. Library staff are here to help with any questions, issues, or concerns you may have.
We're very pleased with how everything is going. We appreciate everyone's patience. If you get questions about parking in the library, or if anyone ever asks you more information about it, we're always happy to walk someone through it, to go outside, to help them in any way that we can. Is there any questions that I can answer about parking at the library? How we're working through that? Please.
You had mentioned the after-hours parking
Mhm.
So what is that? I'm not familiar with it.
So when the library is closed, we switch over our signs and our system to be available for public parking, and that is at a $2 per hour rate. So someone can come in, utilize the parking lot while we're not utilizing it, and generate some revenue to pay for that next parking system is the intent.
What's the usage of that so far?
So far, in terms of the number of vehicles or the after-hours parking? After-hours parking, we are looking at, at this point, I looked earlier this morning, and we've raised $6,120. So that's at $2 an hour for that.
And I just want to say, as somebody who's used it 3 times after hours for home football games and everything else, nobody's using it. So it's great. It's open parking. While the street is slammed, use it. It's wonderful. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, come on.
And I,
please.
just
tell the world that. It's great. It's okay. I'd rather it be crowded.
I do want to.
It's like social media. Once something hits social media about it being great, all of a sudden everyone's flocking.
And I do definitely want to thank the State College Borough because they are providing, when the library is closed and we don't have staff answering the phone, the State College Borough parking department is answering those phones. We forward our phones to them at the end of every evening. They go ahead and answer those, all throughout the evening and make sure that there's always somebody on the other end. And they're always extraordinarily kind and helpful. And they're doing that for us at no cost. Good neighbor. So, huge thank you. Anything else I can answer? Yes.
One thing I also really appreciate about School Library is the wonderful bike parking you have out front, multiple places. Definitely include that in the next commercial. So people know they don't just have to drive a car. They can take a bike. They can also, there's bus parking right out front, for multiple lines. Let them know there's lots of ways to get to the library, not just driving.
I love that. Someone else will have to ride the bike, though, in the commercial, so I might be calling you. No, that is a wonderful idea, so.
Does the after-hour parking include?
Under the building parking or just the open lot?
Just above, yes. So when we close the building, we close the underground parking. That's just a safety and security.
So I take it this is the first time that SCLO has offered after-hours parking?
We originally had offered after-hours parking when we installed the last new system, but it did not work as effectively or efficiently as this system. So when we chose this system, we were very much looking for that to be an easy-to-use option, and so far, fingers crossed, we've been able to do it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, again, product placement, so Fall Fun Drive, help us get the word out. We appreciate it.
Okay, next on the agenda, Authority, Board, and Committee reports. Executive Committee, Mr. Thompson.
I have nothing further to add. We made it through crowding ourselves into the code conference room due to some technical difficulties.
Finance Committee, Mr. Oh, you weren't here. You weren't there.
You took up the whole wall.
Finance Committee, Mr. Frank.
Yes, Mr. Chair. what is indicated, most of which the general forum has now experienced as part of this meeting. The one item that I would add, in our November meeting, we're going to be having a after-action review of the 2025 budget cycle. If you have any thoughts or comments that you would like to share, please get those to your Finance Committee rep, and we'll have a robust discussion in November. Pending any questions, sir.
Human Resources Committee did not meet. Parks Capital Committee, the committee did not meet. Public Safety Committee, the committee did not meet. Facilities Committee did not meet. Land Use and Community Infrastructure Committee, Mr. Hammeister, do you have anything to?
We met. The exciting part was the exercise that we did with respect to input into the comprehensive plan. A lot of flip charts and opportunity for us to state our interest. So very, very well done. Good program.
Sustainability Committee.
Nothing more to add, thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Governance Special Committee, Mr. Frank.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this was our first meeting since June. It was requested that we wait until the executive director got his feet underneath of him before we tackled him with this one. He did have an opportunity to review various things and offered that to the committee. We continued our discussions and agreed to digest upon all that till our November meeting, at which point we're hoping to bring something to the general forum to yay or nay for our next step. And towards that, if any municipalities wish, I certainly will make myself available. I won't offer the executive director, he can offer himself, but if any additional information is needed, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
And you're welcome to reach out to me. Yes.
Thank you. SCLO Center Region Library Board. Thank you. Center Region Parks and Recreation Authority. Emergency Management Council. Nothing. Okay, then that brings us to the last item on the agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a second? Josh? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
You're 2 minutes late.